I've weighed my bowls and then written on them in permanent marker. I know from the age of this cabbage that this cabbage has got nothing less to give. More. But, oh, bienvenue, la biblioteca. Right, Super Trippers. Right, so a little while back I made a video where I made a Reuben sandwich and I made my own salt beef / corned beef and I made my own sauerkraut. Except in the video I didn't make sauerkraut because I already had loads of sauerkraut. Long story short, this shouldn't be a pretty long one. I need to make some more sauerkraut. I'm starting to run out. So I thought I could make a nice quick video out of how to make some sauerkraut, because it is really easy. It doesn't take very long and it is a really good introduction into the world of fermentation. So all I'm doing is quarter the cabbage, chopping out the core. You don't have to throw the core away. I mean, you should be composting if you can, but it is edible. You can grate it up, put it into slaws and stuff like that, slice it thinly, fry it, nibble on it raw if you want, chuck it in a salad. It's actually pretty nice if you like cabbage, I suppose. Next, I'm just gonna slice it into strips. Carefully your fingies, because it can get a bit tough towards the root end. And then chuck all that in a bowl. Doesn't have to be precise at all. It's all gonna wilt down and ferment. You're gonna need a decent sized bowl for this, because once you've chopped the cabbage up, it takes up a lot more space. Right, so yeah, I made a boo-boo. Really, what you want to do is put the bowl on the scales first, and then zero it, so that it ignores the weight of the bowl. Then put the sliced cabbage in, because we need to know the weight of the cabbage. So we're making 1.41 kilos, 1.041 kilos. So twice as much pretty much as we had last time. So last time we needed 12.5 grams. So I'm gonna just go for 25 grams. It's not science. It kind of technically is science. You always want to use weight, not volume. With salt, different size crystals, you can get a different measurement volumetrically every time. Because if you do it by weight, you're always getting the same amount of salt. So zero that and 25 grams of salt. Bosh. Right. And the next step, what you need to do is coat the salt, get the salt all in the bowl, in amongst all the cabbage, and get in there and give it a proper good massage. Really crush it up, bring it out, and get that salt all in amongst all the cabbage. Any really big bits like that you can also tear up if you find them. But really don't worry about bruising it. It's gonna mush down kind of as it ferments. Get a bit of a fold and a turnover here and there as well. And it's take out all that lockdown frustration. And really work it in there. Make sure you've got clean hands as well before you do this, obviously. Right, now, just going to leave this for half an hour. And I'll see you then in about half an hour's time. Right, now after half an hour you should start getting some juice collecting down the bottom. Depending on the freshness of your cabbage and how juicy it is, there might be more, there might be less. It's worth giving it another knead. Don't add any more salt, but give it another knead and leaving it for another half an hour. I know from the age of this cabbage that this cabbage has got nothing less to give, but if you've got a nice fresh cabbage, it's worth doing it again at least another once, maybe even twice. Right, I am going to add, if I had my measurements, oh there we go, some caraway. I'm going to add roughly 2 tablespoons. Just, you want to add it now because it's easier to get it distributed than afterwards, after it's in here. Right, so this, I've got a big, massive, nice fermentation jar. You can get crock pots. I think that's actually what crock pots originate from, for making this sort of stuff. In the past, like in the last video, I haven't got one to hand, the clip top Kilner jars. So yeah, the last batch I made, smaller batch, in one of these Kilner clip top jars. Any airtight vessel is fine. The only problem is, if it's airtight, you have to, I think I mentioned it last time, burp it. Because as this ferments, it gives off a load of CO2. This is just going to get more and more and more pressurized. So every day, especially at the beginning of the fermentation process, especially if it's quite warm, every day you're going to need to open this up and let that gas out. What you can do is run an elastic band from there to there, just so as pressure goes up, it expands the rubber band and lets the air out. If you get serious about your fermentation, it's worth looking into these sort of things. This is an airlock. This actually came from a brewing set. But essentially what you do is you fill water up to about the halfway line. So then what happens is when that lid's on there, the CO2 can push up out and bubble out, but other stuff can't get back in, and air and stuff can't get back in. So we're going to transfer all of this into our fermentation station. Try and not make as much of a mess as I am. So everything in that bowl, including the juice, goes in our container. Scraping all the remnants. So you haven't got to use caraway. It's one of those sort of things you can experiment with. This is, it's actually called a pickle packer. It's for pushing pickles down into a jar. But anything, if you can't get your hand in there, anything with a flat end, you can get in there will do. But you really want to push it all down as much as possible. Now, hopefully, during the process of crushing it all up and letting it wilt down, you've produced enough juice so the juice comes up above the cabbage. I haven't. You can see it just about there. So that is easily rectified, but we do need this to be submerged. You can't just leave this like that, because what will happen is it will just rot. So we need to make a 2% saline solution. So I've got roughly 500 ml. This is rough, doesn't have to be exact. So 500 ml, 1% would be 5 grams, so only 10 grams of salt. Right, to combine. Right, and we're just going to top this off until all of our cabbage is submerged. So top it up to where it's just covered, and what's helpful is if you can get something to just put in there to weigh it down, so it's all underneath the solution. Perfect. Like a weight wrapped in cling film, I think I've suggested in the past. You can buy these weights, or little round glass ones as well from Amazon for not very much at all. And fit the lid. So a bit of water in the airlock. On the outside, if you've got one of these, you see where there's a ring down the middle, so air can still travel up, well, CO2 in this instance. Pop that on there, pop that in there. Right, and that's that. Now, you want to put this somewhere just out of the way, not in the fridge, because it will ferment in the fridge, but it will just take a month of Sundays, and actually it might actually get too cold for the process to carry on. Anywhere that's just room temperature, you don't want it to get too cold, you don't want it too warm. The warmer it is, the quicker the fermentation will happen. Anyway, what I say is, leave this, taste it after like 5 days, see if it's to your liking. And if it is, if you've got to use a big jar like this, you have to put it into a smaller jar. But yeah, whack it, move it, get it packaged up, or if you're already in one of the Kilner sort of jars that will fit in your fridge, as soon as it gets to a sort of taste that you like, whack it in the fridge, and it will last in the fridge for... See, I don't want to tell you that it'll last much longer than a month, because I don't want you to die of botulism, but this has been in my fridge now for, it was about 3 months, I would say. But like I said, don't go running to your lawyer if you die of botulism. I'm not telling you to leave it longer than a month. I'd probably say 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, try it after 5 to 7 days, but you can let it go for longer than that. It'll just keep getting stronger and funkier and more sauerkrauty, but you will also lose the crunch the further you go. Like I said in the other one, it goes great in sandwiches, hot sandwiches, cold sandwiches, goes well with an omelette, you can put it on a salad. You can have it with, I like it with smoked ham hock. You've got a bit of shredded smoked ham hock, bit of sauerkraut, a few other bits and pieces, bit of mustard. Lovely. Anywhere you consider putting a coleslaw, sauerkraut will work. This just adds a whole new level of funk and flavour. Right, cool. So, love you and leave you. Have fun. Get funky with it. Enjoy. Fermentation is one of the sort of things, once you get into it, you're like, oh, can I ferment this? Oh, can I ferment that? What's that like? What's this like? If you're looking for any inspiration, there's a series on YouTube called It's Alive with Brad Leone. He ferments bloody well everything. Look that guy up. He's on Instagram as well, the fermentation master. But yeah, give us a subscribe, like it. If you already watched it, like it and subscribe it. Link to my Instagram in the description, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'll see you later.